Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Daniel, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar. I am here with my colleague Nigel, who's going to be monitoring the questions and chat section. So if you do have any questions, then please feel free to post them into there. Today, we're going to be running part 2 of a webinar regarding the ATP. So if you haven't caught the first one, then feel free to go on our website and you will be able to have a look and watch the recorded version. So what we covered in the first one was an introduction to the ATP and its features, understanding the sandbox mechanism, understanding the cloud query, and also going through the ATP global ecosystem and how that works as well. So today what we're going to be looking at, we're going to be going into a bit more detail on the anti-malware and how the Zyxel ATP can protect you from that, the botnet filter, what is phishing and how to detect it. And then we're going to go through a top-level overview of the ATP firewall series, and then we're going to finish off with the secure reporter. To start this off, we're going to be having a look at the anti-malware and how our ATP can help protect you. So the ATP does have two local databases. So it's got a normal traditional database like what's in the USGA range, and then it's also got the cloud threat database as well, which is updated from the sandboxing. So this is like a real-time database that's on the cloud. All our ATPs share it. So when one of them update the database with a potential malware file, they all get updated, and then they can start protecting yourselves and your end users. It is key to note that when with the anti-malware, it does monitor every traffic that goes through the firewall. So that's LAN to LAN, LAN to DMZ, and LAN to WAN traffic, as well as WAN to LAN. So anything that runs through the gateway, any traffic, it is protected against the malware, and it uses the same mechanisms to detect it. So it will use the local database as well as the cloud threat database as well. So where can you configure this? So in the ATP, on the options, you can go to configuration, go to the security services options, and then you can go to the anti-malware options. You tick the enable button, which will enable it, and then you've got certain different options that you can do. So you can destroy the infected files, or you can not destroy it and just specify it to log it in the event log on the actual unit. There is a whitelist and a blacklist that you can specify certain files can either be included or excluded from the file. And in regards to compressed files such as zip files and RAR files, you can enable the unit to actually decompress it and analyze inside the file itself. So as you can see, it's quite a powerful tool in how it works, and it really will help protect your network from any malware that could be coming into your network. So botnet filter, what is a botnet and how do they work, and how can the Zyxel ATP firewall series protect you? So a botnet is basically a group of machines which are basically sat there waiting for a command from an attacker. The kind of attacks that you can get are Trojans. They can steal your data, they can send spam emails from the client's machines, or they can use the machine for like a DDoS attack. So very, very powerful attacks and can be very detrimental to the business. So the ATP's got some really good mechanisms to be able to protect against these. So how do botnets work? So if you think about it, Internet of Things devices like the household appliances, the door access controls, the smart TVs, VoIP phones and CCTV cameras, they don't really have much protection physically on them for attacks. This is where a firewall comes in handy. You need protection on your network. Usually they have some form of default username and password which they exploit. So I would always recommend to change from the default password. That should be a standard practice in security. And then what else they can do is they can impersonate other files. So they can get Adobe Reader files or any files that they can find on the internet. They can then compromise them so that when you do download them and run them, it actually installs an additional piece of software on your computer, which the attacker has packaged into the file itself. So the attacker would download the original application. they would then add the malware to the application, and by repackaging it, they would upload the application to an unofficial site. So if you are downloading anything, please make sure that you download it from an official site. If you do download it from unofficial sites, then potentially you could be downloading a malicious file. So then the standard user would download the application thinking it is a genuine file, unaware of its intentions. And then once they install the application, it installs the original application, so you're not actually aware of anything. But in the background, it also installs some malware or a botnet, which is then sat on that machine, waiting to cause damage to your network. So what you get is when the user has installed the application onto a specific device, the infected device has like a call home command. So it actually calls what's called a command and control server. And this server is basically sat there waiting for correspondence from the infected machines. Once they do call home, the attacker can then issue a command to the command and control server, which then feeds out to the end user's devices which are infected, and they can instruct it to do what harm it's been designed to do. So such as a DDoS attack, they can then target sort of the victim's network, web servers, any specific hosting companies. They could use their network to run a DDoS attack to a bigger organization, thus hiding themselves in the mix of the internet, so they don't know where the attack actually originated from. So as you can see, botnets are very, very malicious and can really be detrimental to your business. So it is important that you do make sure that you change all default username and passwords. You only download from official sites, just to further protect yourself by just running in these principles, and always ensuring that you've got a up-to-date antivirus checker as well on your machine. So how can it protect you? How can the ATP protect you? So it can protect you by preventing the botnet from contacting the command and control center. So even if you download the file and install it on your machine, what the ATP can do is it can stop that machine from speaking back to its control and command server, therefore not getting any commands on what to do, so it will just sit there idle. So it can block the outbound connections from the devices, which is obviously one level of security. And then what it can also do is it can block inbound connections as well. So if the command server is actually trying to contact the network to speak to the devices, it can block that as well. And this is all updated from the botnet signature database, which is shared with the traditional USGA, and it is updated, as I say, using the cloud query. So it is a real-time engine. So to be able to configure this on the actual ATP itself, you go into the configuration, security service, and botnet filter. As always, you want to be able to enable this, and then you can specify what action you want to do. So you can do a forward, which in essence will just allow it through. It will still log it. You can do a reject sender, which will be rejecting the end user's device from contacting the server, or you can reject a receiver, which is then going to block the command center from trying to get inbound into the network, or my preference would be to reject both. You can also tick the botnet CNC, which will, using the database, will detect any potential URLs which are used for the command and servers. You can enable this separately, or you can leave it disabled, and you can specify what action to do with that as well. So you can either block it, pass it, or warn it. So obviously blocking it is the most secure. Passing it is just going to allow it through and not actually tell you about it. And then you've got warn, so it'll just provide you a log, a red log entry in the system to tell you that something has happened. Obviously, I would always recommend that you block it, but the options are there to be able to flexibly do what you need to do with it. So what also you can do is with a botnet filter is make sure you enable the HTTPS domain filter for HTTPS traffic. So nowadays most websites are HTTPS, which means it's encrypted. So by enabling this, it does allow it to look into the specific URLs and being able to resolve it, therefore providing you the maximum protection. So, and this is done in configuration, security service, content filtering, and profile. So if you enable content filtering, make sure the HTTPS domain filter is enabled on there. So it is enabled by default, but if somebody goes in there and disables it and you want to use a botnet filter, make sure you go back in there and re-enable it. And then it can collect statistics for you, so it can find out how many IPs are scanned, what your hit count is, how many URLs have been scanned, and what the URL hit count is as well. You can enable this by going into Monitor, Security Statistics, and Botnet Filter, and then just tick the Collect Statistics at the top. And this gives you a little bit of an idea as to the sort of logs that you're going to see on the actual unit itself. So you can look at these through Monitor, Security Statistics, and Botnet Filter once it's been enabled, and you can see that rule 25, 6, 8, and 9, it shows Botnet Filter, and it shows you a destination, and it shows you a note, so what it's done. So access block is when it's been blocked, but you can also obviously allow it and things like that, but it will show you if you've specified it to log, and it also gives you the URL as well. So that concludes the botnet filter. So we're going to go on to anti-phishing and sort of go into what phishing actually is. So what is phishing and how does it work? So phishing is a type of an online scam where criminals and fraudsters would actually create a website to mimic a legitimate website. So like HSBC, that's on the screen at the moment. And what they will do is they'll send an email or something like that to you, and they will embed a link. So they will specify some information in there, like the update now button might say to you, right, you need to update some security information, you need to update some personal information. In which case, catching you completely unaware, you would then click on that and it would actually send you to a completely different website. So as you can see there, HSBC website looks genuine enough, but if you actually look into the URL, you can see that it's not actually a genuine website. So this is a phishing website. And obviously you can put all your information in here and it can steal that information and use it to obviously access your own bank account details. So it's very important that you're aware that what website you're going to, always check the URL and make sure it is a legitimate one. And when in doubt, close it and always speak to the bank directly. So how to detect phishing. So when an email comes in, for instance, the gateway will inspect the content of it and detect any embedded URLs. And then what it will actually do is it will correspond this to the Cloud Queries database of URLs, and it will classify whether or not it is malicious or not. So what you can do is to actually enable this. If you go into configuration, security service, and email security, you can enable it. You can get to check the whitelist, the blacklist, the IP reputation for SMTP only. Check the mail content. Check virus outbreaks, and if you check mail phishing, then what you'll see is in the actual mail itself, it will actually, or in the logs, it will actually specify the different types of level of malicious files. So in the email security, you can have different options. You've got spam, viruses, phishing, which are obviously fraudsters, and then you've got spam. So this is where you would enable it, and you can specify your own link in there as well. So if you don't want it to read phishing, you can change that to whatever you like. So to be able to collect the statistics on this, you go to Monitor, Security Statistics, and Email Security. Tick the Collect Statistics at the top, and this will do it for all the email security functions in the ATP. So as you can see, spam mails detected by mail phishing, that will start counting up if it does detect any. And then just to show you what the actual log looks like, if you go to Monitor, Security Statistics, and Email Security, you'll see that an SMTP mail phishing match from the email address and what the phishing host is, so what the website it would be taking you to, and what the source address was and destination address. So the good thing is about this, you can obviously trace it back to the end user's device as well, and go for a more in-depth scan with antivirus and stuff like that to make sure there's no other malicious software on there. So that really concludes a bit more of a technical detail as to what features are available on the ATP series. So we're just going to go through the actual ATP top level of the hardware available for the series. So previously we did only have the ATP 200, 500 and 800 available. We have now recently brought out an ATP 100. There is on the roadmap as well looking to be an ATP 100W as well, which will have built-in wireless, meaning that it'll fit into the small businesses even better, where potentially you don't need an additional access point. So each of these come with a 1-year gold security pack. So unlike the USG, where you get like a bundle license, which gives you your content filtering, your antivirus, your IDP, the ATP does only have one license, which is the gold security pack, and it contains all the security features what you will get on the USG, so content filtering, the botnet filtering, the anti-spam, and it also includes the secure reporter as well. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you read the screen on in front of you, you can see the physical hardware performance of the actual devices themselves. So the SPI firewall throughput is typical firewall inspection. So this is with no security features enabled. So no antivirus, no IDP, no sandboxing, just typical firewall inspection. The UTM throughput, as you can see, it differs greatly to the firewall. This is because the security services are enabled, and it does obviously provide a bit of overhead to the device, so it does reduce the throughput performance of the device itself. So the ATP series is 2.5 times better in throughput than the USG series. It leverages from the sandboxing AI technology. So as I say, if you haven't seen the previous part 1 of this webinar, I would advise that you look at that, because that does go into the sandboxing and AI technology. It has an enhanced UTM, so where the USG is a traditional UTM, the ATP has these additional features to help further secure your network. It has a botnet filter, which we've covered, and it also acts as a wireless controller as well. So where the NXC, which is currently still available, that is a purely on-premise controller for your wireless access points. The ATP, like the USG, can act as a controller as well, meaning that you can have one device to provide you security, your WAN connectivity, as well as being able to manage the wireless access points. It also, the 500 and 800 actually support device HA as well, so that's device high availability. This is where you can have 2 of the same units physically running at the same time. And what happens is all the traffic is passed through both devices at the same time, and then as soon as one fails, so it could be a hardware fault, could be a power fault, the other unit, so what would be the passive unit, would take over, become an active unit, and maintain your connection. So this is a way of adding reliability and resilience into your network. You could be on a Skype call, for instance, and you wouldn't actually know that the network had gone down or a device has gone faulty. It will continue to maintain the call's quality with not so much as a blip. So as I say, it's really good for them networks where you need to maintain 100% uptime. And with obviously our extended warranty, you just put in an RMA case with us, we can get it sent out to you. And what you do is you connect the 2 units together using a cable. It's called a heartbeat cable. And what it actually does, the active unit will copy the config using an FTP protocol to the passive device whenever any changes are made, meaning that both units are always at the same configuration level all the time. So you wouldn't even have to configure it. You go into it, just enable device HA, plug it in, connect the cable, and then it'll download the configuration it requires. So the ATP service licensing, as I said, it's quite simple with this particular series, because you only have the gold security pack. There was a silver once upon a time, but they've scrapped that, and now we've just got the gold. And with that, you get the sandboxing, the web security, which is the content filter and the botnet filter. You get the application security, which is the app patrol and the email patrol security. You get the malware blocker for the anti-malware, the cloud query, which is like the online database, along with a cloud threat database. You've got IDP, which is intrusion prevention. The geo enforcer, so being able to geographically block certain countries from being able to access your unit. As I've said, it's a wireless control as well. So for the ATP 100, it can support 10 APs. For the ATP 200, it can support 18. The ATP 500, 34, and the ATP 800, 130 access points. And also Secure Reporter is included with that as well. So the ATP devices are bundled with a 1-year gold security pack, which is non-transferable. And then you can, on the second year, you can then renew it with either a 1-year or a 2-year, which is transferable. It's also key to know as well, if you're running them in device HA, you do only need to license one of the units, because there's only ever going to be one unit working and functioning and maintaining your network at any one time. So all you've got to do is put a call into our support campus, and they'll be able to sort that licensing out for you, making sure that obviously you're not having to buy 2 licenses for potentially a unit which is sat there in passive mode. So just to go over sort of that dashboard, so as you can see, it'll show you your device, what cables are plugged into it, show you down the left-hand side the performance of it, so your CPU usage, whether device HA is on your DHCP table, how many users are logged into it, etc. So it's just a real nice view to be able to see the sort of basic information of the device itself. And then on the advanced threat protection side, so you've got the general, which is on the left-hand tab, and then on the right-hand tab, you've got advanced threat protection. This will show you your statistics. If you set the collect statistics anyway, it'll start building up the details for the botnet filter, the sandboxing, the anti-malware, the IDP, email security, and content filtering. So you can just physically see it on the screen. So, and then you can obviously see what sort of countries as well have been targeting you as well, because it is geolocation aware. So the ATP versus the USGA. So as you can see, the ATP does have a few more features than what the USGA does. So it has the cloud machine learning, which is the online database that's updated in real time. So no periodic updates like a weekly or a monthly update. It is in real time, and the local database will sync every day as well. With the added benefits of the botnet filter, the sandboxing, and the zero-day IP and URL reputation. So in regards to performance, the ATP 500 is 2.5 times quicker than the USGA 210, and the ATP 500 provides over 800 meg, whereas the USGA 1900 will only provide up to 700 meg. So massive performance increase on that. Device HA Pro again is available on the selected models, and one thing that has recently changed in regards to the roadmap is the hotspot management. So being able to integrate with the ticket printer, like the old UAG series. It also supports Facebook Wi-Fi and the concurrent device upgrades as well. So that's recently been added to the roadmap. So it's good to see that obviously it's evolving and becoming more in line with the feature set which are available on the smaller units. So we're just going to go over the Secure Reporter again. This is a very, very good tool. I will speak about this because we do have a promo on this at the minute, and I'll show you this after this section. So what is Secure Reporter? So this is something that you'll register. It's an online reporting tool. It's multi-tenancy as well, which means that you can visually see all your customers from one website, one portal. It just allows you to gain a clearer picture of what is happening with your security devices in terms of throughput, in terms of any threat trends, and anything which potentially could be harmful to the business, or anything which could help you streamline your internet service to get the best out of your users as well. So seeing what they're sort of going on Facebook, what sort of applications and things as well. One of the biggest questions that get asked if you ever get attacked is who, what, and when. So they'll go, what kind of threat? Who is the target? When did it happen? Who is the attacker? And where is the attack from? Now, without a tool such as Secure Reporter, this could be quite difficult. You could spend many, many days, weeks even, sieving through logs and analyzing traffic, analyzing data, speaking with people to try and find out what actually happened. But with a tool as powerful as Secure Reporter, everything's available within this portal, which means you can actually cut down the amount of time you spend looking around and trying to find out and offer these answers for your customer. You've got all the information there. You can provide them all the information pretty quickly. It is user aware, so for instance, if you integrate your device into Active Directory or Radius, it will show you the username of the people that's using the internet, so you'll be able to physically see that Joe.blogs has gone to a particular website or a particular type of application, so you can really keep an eye on what people are doing. It just helps you potentially increase your internal policies on your internet usage as well. So as I've said, it is multi-tenancy, so you can manage all your clients in one place. So from an MSP and a reseller point of view, if you manage your end user's network, one thing that you want to be able to do is log into one place and see everything that you need and break it down as much as you need to, rather than going from individual devices and logging onto them separately, potentially creating VPNs. It's a very messy way of working. It can become very time consuming. So with this actual Secure Report, so this service, it really does help you keep everything tidy, easier to manage, and provide your customers with a better service as well. So it's centrally visible from any, you can access it on your browser, on your phone, on your laptops, for instance, and it's very scalable as well. And then you can customize your analytics for each customer and any potential alerts as well, which you think might be beneficial. So you can create customized reports as well. So individual reports, adding customer logos on there and things like that based on their requirements. So we all know all end users have different requirements. So being able to do this helps you accomplish that relatively easy. If you ever want help and guidance in regards to this, then we're at the end of the phone. So feel free to give us a call. So it is GDPR compliant. So you've got three specific sections. You've got non-anonymous, partially, and fully. So what it does is it will actually replace sensitive data with artificial indicators, so not breaking any sort of GDPR regulations or anything like that. So being at the forefront of security, GDPR is a big thing. So being able to do this just make sure we are cooperating and making the best use of the data we've got without obviously causing any potential issues. So to get started with Secure Reporter, you can go to https://securereporter.cloudcnm.zyzl.com. Log in, register. I would probably advise you register with a generic email address, so like support at, sales at, monitoring at, for instance. It just means that you'll be able to get the best out of it, and if someone's off, you've still got access to it. So Secure Report for the devices where you can bolt it on as an individual license. The part codes are in front of you. So for the USGA range and the Zywall range, they're there in the 1 year or 2 year period. As I say, it's included on the ATP with the Gold service, so you will get that included with it as well. And to celebrate Zyzl's 30th anniversary, we are actually offering a 1 year free Secure Reporter for the Zywall and USG series. Previously, you usually get like a 30-day trial on services such as this, but until the end of this month, if you register any devices, so these are ones which could be out in the field already, upgrade onto the latest firmware and activate Secure Reporter. If you haven't already been utilizing it and you've got loads of USGs and Zywall devices out there, take benefit of the promo that's available, get it registered, start using it, because this can actually open up a conversation with your end users in regards to security, in regards to upgrades, in regards to analytics and services you can offer as a reseller and an MSP. So as I say, it's a very good promotion, and I've used this specific Secure Reporter in the past, and I always push for it because it's a very, very useful tool. So please make use of that. If you need any assistance on how to do that, then feel free to give either our support guys a call or the sales team, and we'll sort of guide you through the process. And also going on that as well, we do a trade-in, trade-up scheme of up to 20%. when you purchase any new Zyxel equipment. So you could be getting rid of some old Sophos units, some old Cisco, Sonic Wall, WatchGuard, Juniper, FortiGate, Checkpoint, even some old Zyxel devices, some old USG 50s, for instance. Then take benefit of our trade up. Let's start securing the networks and bringing them up to 2020 standards and just making sure that everybody's secure. Let's recycle them old equipment. Let's bring them up to date, get into the ATP range and make benefit of what it can actually offer. So that really concludes what I've got to run through for today's webinar. So there is currently a Q&A section at the moment. So if you do have any questions or anything, fire them in the questions section. Nigel will obviously pick them up and then we'll be able to go through it.
Hi there, Danny, and everyone else. There's one on my web seminar viewing application. There's only chat at the moment. The questions haven't come up on my panel for some reason.
Currently I can't see any questions there at the moment. So hopefully I've explained it enough where I've answered everybody's questions as I've been running through it.
Yeah.
Or I've put everybody to sleep and currently they're asleep on the keyboard, which I hope is not the case.
You've done a good job. Oh, that's
so
good.
As I say, if you haven't got any questions or anything like that, then feel free to email sales@zyxel.co.uk. I can see from the actual attendee list that there is quite a few of you I've spoken to in the past anyway, so you'll have my contact details directly. So feel free just to fire me across. So is there any reporting in Nebula or is it just Secure Reporter? So Jonathan, there is some reporting in Nebula, but if you do want to go for the more advanced reporting for threat statistics and things like that, then Secure Reporter is the way to go. I do know that we are looking at introducing more security devices into Nebula, which means that the reporting facility is obviously going to get enhanced and hopefully will include the Secure Reporter inside the portal, but I haven't seen anything as of yet. But it is something that I am raising because Secure Reporter, with it being so powerful, it makes sense for it to be in one of our most powerful cloud platforms, being Nebula. So I would say yes, eventually it will be, but I haven't got any formal verification on that at the moment. So that appears to be the only one at the moment. So again, thank you all for taking time out of your day. I know we're all busy, but it is good to obviously have people as engaging as you on here. And again, make use of the trade up. And definitely look into the promotion for our Secure Reporter as well. You'll find that once you start using it, you'll be pushing it throughout your resellers and end users because it is that powerful of a tool. So thank you again for joining me today. And as I say, if you've got any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Nigel. Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
And you, Danny. Take care. Bye-bye.